All right, welcome back to another episode of Locked Up, the safe space for the sports nerd. I'm your host, David Matlock, and today we'll be talking about some Atlanta Falcons football, baby. Free agency has come and gone for the Falcons, and we did not make any serious splashes. We did make some interesting acquisitions. Of course, we kind of had to go bargain hunting because we are in a dire cap situation, and I think Fontenot has been doing a pretty solid job of trying to rectify that. Recently, we restructured Matt Ryan and Jake Matthews contracts. Matt Ryan is his contract hit, like his cap hit is going to be spread out over 2022 and 2023. Jake Matthews, we're just spreading out that money a little bit more. We're going to have to restructure again because after these signings, we were about before them we were about 4.7 million under the cap after we had restructured Matt Ryan and everything. After these signings, we're only a couple $100,000 under the cap. So if we want to be able to keep our draft picks, we're gonna need to restructure some other contracts along the way. It's going to cost about $12.95 million in order for us to be able to sign all of our draft picks where we're at. Considering that we have the fifth highest projected cap hit from our draft selections, mainly because of that fourth pick. That fourth pick takes out about $5 million or so a year. Because, I mean, it's the higher pick, the higher the guy is, the more expensive it's going to be. But we can save almost $1 million in cap space if we trade back that 4 and turn it into a 12 and 43. That would save us about $1 million in cap space. That's why the reason why I think this is viable. I think the Falcons were going to trade back anyways. And I think now there's just more of an incentive to trade back. So I'm really not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we trade even out of the top 10, especially with people like Carolina, Denver, New England, really needing quarterbacks. We can definitely get a nice haul for it, just get some value. But we really just have to fix the cap situation. But these free agent signings were as cheap as they were. I think they were pretty solid. We got what we could. Fontenot is just trying to make sure we don't just completely go under. I'm actually pretty glad we haven't cut as many people as I thought we would. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little surprised that we never cut Dante Fowler. Dante Fowler had a big contract that Dimitrov signed him to, but he's probably going to get restructured. Oh, he actually took a pay cut. I think it was like a $6 million pay cut. So helping us out there. I still would be on the lookout for him getting potentially cut around training camp. It could be a possibility. So let's go into some of the free agent signings. So the biggest signing is Mike Davis from the Carolina Panthers, who played on the Panthers last year. We signed him to a 2-year, $5.5 million contract. This is great value. I don't care what anyone says. People are complaining. This guy filled in for Christian McCaffrey, and it's almost like he didn't really miss a beat. Like, it was almost like the offense functioned just as if Christian McCaffrey were there. Not the same as Christian McCaffrey. It's not what I'm saying. But he had 642 rushing yards, and he had 1,015 yards from scrimmage. So about 400, mid 400s in terms of no. My math is bad. High 300s for receiving yards. So Mike Davis can do a lot. He's very dynamic. He's pretty quick. He's a pretty big guy. But I'm not sure if he's going to be like the number one option. I still think that we're going to go for a running back. I'm going to discuss how these signings affect some of the draft prospects later on in this video, though. And besides Mike Davis, we have Barkevius Mingo. What a name. That's a scary name. He's a linebacker who played at Chicago. He's kind of bounced around the league. He's pretty athletic. He's just a guy who's going to add depth. It's not like, oh, we got Barkevius Mingo. It's over. No, he's athletic. He's played with the Patriots. Last year he had 2.5 sacks, 35 combined tackles. Nothing to sniff at, but it's like, solid enough. He can at least come and play minutes. And then we got Eric Harris, the safety from the Oakland Raiders. He started in 12 games last year for the Raiders, and over his career, he's had 5 interceptions and 20 pass deflections. Harris is a pretty quick guy, very quick safety. Not the best open field tackler from what I've seen, but he'll fit right in Atlanta, quite frankly. And then we also signed Fabian Moreau. Fabian Moreau was more of a special teams guy, but I believe he played corner for the Washington football team. And then in a trade, we traded for Lee Smith. Lee Smith from the Buffalo Bills, tight end. It's kind of not really a surprise that we go for a guy like that. Arthur Smith likes tight ends who can kind of do some of the dirty work for him, so that he can also have tight ends that open up the field and can make some plays. So I'm definitely expecting some double tight formations from this offense going forward. Going to be really interesting to see how that looks, especially if we have Hayden Hurst or if we pick somebody up in the draft. It'll be interesting to see how that sort of dynamic plays out moving forward. All right, so if we're looking at the signings we've had, where does this put us at? There's been a lot of articles coming out saying restructuring of Matt Ryan's contract means that we're going to be more committed to him, which means that a quarterback is completely out of the question. I don't know if I want us to go for a quarterback per se. Like, I'm not advocating for it. But if Zach Wilson's still there, or if we wanted to take a chance on Justin Fields or Trey Lance, I'm honestly not going to say I would be too mad about it. I really think we're going to trade back. If we trade back, I think one suitor that is a pretty solid suitor for trading back would be Panthers, or even potentially the Broncos. I think those two teams, looking at those two teams, there's a potential for us to get Trey Lance if he were to slide that far. And honestly, at that value at 8, I wouldn't hate it if we took it. But personally, I think if we're going to trade back, we need to focus on defense. And this draft has a lot of very good corners, and that is a position of dire need. I think the 5 positions that we need to address in this draft are edge, safety, corner, running back, and guard. Alex Mack is gone. I'm not sure about Matt Hennessy. We need to give him a chance at least, but I don't know if there's a lot of faith in him, especially because there's been a lot of talk about getting an offensive lineman in this draft. There's been talks about getting a center, so I don't think they have much faith in him as the center moving forward. But if we're going to pick at 4, one of the people I keep seeing get thrown around a lot is Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is a very, very interesting player. Kyle Pitts is kind of like a Darren Waller, I would say. That's like the closest comparison I can make. He's not a very good blocker, but he has amazing hands, great route runner, quick for his size. You can set him out wide. If we were to get him, he's a guy I wouldn't be surprised being like a top 5, top 3 tight end in the league. Like, he really has that potential to be a difference maker in the passing game. And if we're sticking with Matt Ryan, I don't hate it if we keep surrounding him with weapons. On the other hand, I feel like if we're just going for another pass catcher, we're kind of making the offense better, but I think the offense could already be good if we have just a semi-competent offensive coordinator. Like, dear God, as long as it's not Dirk Cutter, it's going to be better, I think. And I don't know if I don't know if I'm comfortable with us taking Kyle Pitts, but I wouldn't hate it if we did. However, if we were to move down to 8 or 10, I think the guys we should be focusing on are Patrick Surtain from Alabama, Caleb Farley from Virginia Tech. And if we move out of the top 10 or even out of the top 15 and give the Patriots a pick, I think J.C. Horn from South Carolina is someone we should really get. J.C. Horn, I think, would be a steal. I think it'd be a very high value pick if we got out of the top 15. He has great ball skills. He's a dog on defense. I think it would just be a solid get if we were able to trade back, get some more assets, and then also avoiding that heavy cap hit of a top 5 pick. I think he would be good. Micah Parsons ran a 4.3940. Yes, that man ran a 4.3940 at like 260 pounds. He is terrifying. You can put him at linebacker. You can put him outside. You can move him around. He's very skilled. I think there was like some controversy, but what's an NFL player without controversy, you know? But hey, I think Parsons would be a great look. Also, Gregory Rousseau, I think, slept on. He's 6'5", 270. He has the physical tools. I think we really need an edge rusher. This might not be the draft to address it. Honestly, a Kwity Paye might be a better guy to look at, but I think if it were me, my top two choices would be trading back for Micah Parsons or going with a cornerback in Surtain. I think Surtain is a better option than Farley, mainly because Farley's had 2 back surgeries. And I love Keon O'Neal, but we know what it's like to have good defenders with very, very present and nagging injury histories. So I think that's just something we could avoid. Surtain played at Alabama. Like, we get a blue blood in the program. I think that Surtain is probably the safest pick that we could make if we were to trade out of the top 10 or even down to 8. He's easily the safest pick, I think, just because he's got the tools, he's got the pedigree, he's got the mindset. He came from Alabama, so and it's a positional need. We need defenders. I know people want a quarterback. We need defenders. I know people are saying Matt Ryan doesn't have. We need defenders. Did you see our tackling? Our tackling ability for the past 5 years has been atrocious. Matt Ryan has never had a top 10 defense. I think he had it 1 year, and we lost to the freaking Eagles because we had Sarkisian making a crappy rollout. Don't get me started. But we need to address defense, and this is a cornerback-rich draft. We need to go and get a cornerback for the future. I think A.J. Terrell, very good corner. Our secondary could be even better if we get Surtain. So I think that's where I would go for. I wouldn't be mad if we. I think I would, if I were to rank it, I would say I would go first the Surtain pick, and then I would go Parsons, and then I would probably say picking Pitts at 4, and then say taking a QB, just because I'm a Matt Ryan fan. Also, I think he still has a lot in the tank. There, we've already pretty much committed to him, and I think we should just make a run at this point with what we can. Kyle Pitts is also Kyle Pitts and Surtain are probably the 2 surest things. Kyle Pitts is definitely going to be a factor in the NFL. Well, that's been another episode of Locked Up. We covered free agency, contract restructures, and who I think we should go for in the draft. I'm going to be doing a little bit more in-depth draft analysis and talking a little bit more Hawks basketball. Of course, the trade deadline just passed, so there's a lot to be talking about moving forward. But please check out the podcast. The link will be down below. Me and Carlos have been putting out some heat lately, so make sure you check that out. Also, please like and subscribe, and thank you so much for supporting this channel. This is just a little hobby I enjoy doing, and if anybody will indulge me while I rant about sports, I'll appreciate you so much more for it. So this has been Locked Up with David Matlock. Honestly,